Huge thanks to OK Jazzy. They're your go-to for the 2026 World Cup and an incredible retro archive. They got decades of iconic league classics, from legendary 90s designs to the rarest club heritage kits. Whether it's a high-performance player version or a timeless vintage look, prices start at just £15, 4.5 Trustpilot rating and fast shipping. Use code Chris for 8% off and grab your piece of football history now.
Oh, and breathe. Tottenham Hotspur do it. Tottenham Hotspur will be a Premier League team next season. How good does it say or feel to say that? Me personally, I'm not celebrating. I'm not partying. I'm just relieved. And that is the feeling, I believe, of all four or three of my guests this evening. I'm certainly not messaging West Ham fans taking the mickey. I'm just being quiet and breathing a sigh of relief. It feels like we've been in hell these last 2 or 3 months. We got over the line. We did it. We're going to be a Premier League outfit. We can all relax and enjoy the World Cup this summer, thankfully. Welcome back to the Spurs Chat Podcast, the last one of the season, talking about games anyway. We, of course, will be with you throughout the summer. Transfer shows and the like. And we'll be talking as a Premier League team, of course. As I say, how good does that sound? And say Spurs 1, Everton 0. Even though West Ham won, we got the job done and West Ham are relegated. So let's just have a look at the match facts and stats. Right. 49, nearly 50-50 to be fair, Spurs and Everton. XG of just under 1 for Spurs, 0.38 for Everton. 20 shots for Spurs, only 10 for Everton. 2 on target for Tottenham, 1 for Everton. Touches inside the opposition box, 28 for Spurs, which is quite high for us this season. 16 for Everton. Goalkeeper saves, 1 brilliant save from Kinski at the end and 1 from Pickford. 20 aerial duels, 1 for Spurs, 21 for Everton. 15 fouls committed, Tottenham, 18 for Everton, 7 corners apiece. So let's just have a look at the Premier League table. And let's go. We have to scroll right down, but there it is.
Down that way.
Confirmation. There's the confirmation we all wanted. Spurs finishing the season on 41 points. West Ham are relegated on 39. I feel like I'm hyperventilating throughout that whole match. Let's introduce the guests. Back with me. We've been here through thick and thin this season. Pleased to announce, with a big smile on his face, Ricky J. Norwood. How are you, sir?
Mate, I'm with you. I'm relieved, but I'm joyous. You know what? I'm all over the place, brother. I am all over the place. I saw in the group text that you were saying that you gents didn't sleep either. I didn't sleep last night. It was a tough one last night. I'm just buzzing that we're still in the Premier League. I don't think we have ever been in this position before where it gets down to the last day and we're fighting for survival. Yeah. And to know how important the Premier League is and how much it means to us, it was really evident today. But I'm just buzzing that we're in it. I'm buzzing that we can talk about the future. I'm buzzing that we can try and right the wrongs of not only this season but seasons past. Because if you ever needed a wake-up call, it was that. It was that today, and it's been that this whole season. Do you know what I mean? And we can never let that happen again. Yes, bad seasons, yes, dips, but we can never let that happen again. So we did get away with one because myself and you, Craig, have said all season, the only thing that we've been playing for is relegation. We've only turned up as a side in the last 5-6 weeks under De Zerbi. If it wasn't for that man, my goodness, it would have been nailed on weeks ago. So thank you, Roberto. Thank you, boys. And thank you, gentlemen, and all you beautiful people around the world. Let's jump in. Let's get in to our first home win of the 2026 and the survival of Tottenham Hotspur. My goodness, what a season, man. Bloody hell.
Oh, honestly, this club will be definitely. Do you know what? This might make you laugh. It might not. 3 or 4 months ago, I had a bet with my West Ham mate. He said, do you want to bet on who goes down? And I said, yeah, I think we're going down. And he said, well, let's have a bet on it. And I thought he was going to say 10, 20 quid or whatever. He said, a bottle of choice of ketchup. I don't know where that come from, but he's just messaged me and he sent me a picture of this real special ketchup. I said, gladly, send me your address and I'll get it in the post. Melvin, how are you feeling? All the way from Malta, back with us today. You look a bit warm. It's very warm in England. How are you feeling?
Relieved. Like Ricky said, I'm obsessed with De Zerbi. Brilliant manager. I mean, simply by appointing him, I think he saved us. It was close, and it was till the last day. But what a job he's done! Incredible job, because he made a bunch of average players look at moments today. I mean, we managed the game really well today, and I was so impressed with a lot of the guys' effort and how we played. The one-touch football by the midfield three. I mean, this has been a poor season, don't get me wrong, but what a way to end it. And hopefully this momentum carries on in the summer, you know. But, yeah, just relieved, extremely relieved, very happy. I mean, the stats, if you talk about the stats this season, it's absolute depression to hear. You know, third win at home. I mean, for the season ticket holders, that's just not good enough for a club this size. But I think the atmosphere was brilliant today. You have to give it to the fans, and even prior to the game, that the scenes.
They were brilliant. Fans were superb.
That was brilliant. I mean, the fans turn up. You know, I love games where the atmosphere at home is absolutely bouncing. I think the away fans kind of started this at Villa, this kind of momentum, and once that kicked off, I think that kind of really helped galvanize the fan base. And credit to De Zerbi. I mean, I love watching his press conferences. I watched him twice now. I used to hate Thomas Frank, and I just like halfway through, I don't even know what he's saying anymore. But De Zerbi, I watch it twice. I think he's funny. I like how he bigs up his players. He actually mentions which players and actually just says it as it is. He reminds me a lot of Antonio Conte, who I loved. But I just think, yeah, I don't know what more I can say about this guy. The turnaround in such a short span, I mean, it's insane. I know they paid the money to bring him in, and no one will mention the money anymore. No one, because it was worth.
It was worth it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No one will say we overpaid for De Zerbi. No one will say, you know, it's. He kept us from. A friend of mine texted me, said he saved you from a lifetime of embarrassment, and that's the headline, because it would have been embarrassing to fall, but we've survived, and I hate West Ham. It's just like, not because they are my rivals in any sort, but the amount of chat and how much mouthy they are for a club their size, and it's just like it's good to see them go down, because they're honestly really annoying.
Tim, how are you feeling? Well, I mean, you might as well just get it off your chest. I usually come to the guests afterwards to talk about how you're feeling, thoughts on the game. Everybody's given thoughts on the game so far, so let's not be too stringent with the show this evening. How are you feeling after that?
Just relieved, you know. I'm not like super happy. I'm just like, thank God that season's over. It's just like a year-long nightmare of a season, and thank God it's over. I think weirdly, I felt, although nervous, quite confident, because De Zerbi seems so up for it. Before the game, he's geeing up the crowd. The players are up for it. The bench are up, kind of giving Everton a bit of jip as well. So it's kind of, it felt like they were up for a fight, and I like that. Danso was enormous again. God, that man would get me on the turn. He's such an enormous guy. No, I shouldn't say that, should I? How am I feeling in general? That was not an easy watch. We were great in the first half, but it was not an easy watch. We clearly haven't got any attacking players. I think in the end we had one on, and that was Cowlin, and he's only half an attacking player, has been for quite a few weeks. But yeah, generally
I can't remember who said it in the chat. Job done. That'll do.
That's all
Please
it was.
move on.
That's all you can say.
Forget it. That's nothing to see here. But yeah, crowd enormous. Bearing in mind how hot and whatever it was there, that the crowd were just the best. And as Melv said, De Zerbi's just a masterstroke. The guy is a genius. Hopefully, I won't come to regret saying that. But he just seems to say he's so positive. He says the right things. His actions are good. The players seem to respond to him, and I think he's going to be a ruthless manager as well. Half that team need to go. Half that team needs to get on a bus. See you later. Thank you for that, especially Romero. I'm sure we'll get onto that. Romero, without swearing. But there's a few who've shown their mettle today, which is good. Very pleased. Gallagher and Bellini in midfield were just enormous, I think. Others, we shall see, right? I'm sure we'll get into the chat, but we shall see.
I think that's a good point, Tim. Actually, coming out of your net, Rick, actually, because I don't think. I mean, who knows with this club, right? But I think this has been a massive. Well, it should be a massive wake up call for the club. The people at the top, then they must have been crapping themselves at the thought of Tottenham going down because of the Reddies, apart from anything else. Let alone, as Melvin said, the absolute years of ridicule for a club like Tottenham, the status of a club like Tottenham to be relegated. This can't happen again, can it? Next season, personally, I think, I'm not saying we're going to be pushing for the title or even Champions League. I'd love us to be, but we can't be in this situation again, can we? So what's got to happen over the summer? What do you expect and what do you want to happen over the summer?
Learn the lessons of 26 years in power of this beautiful damn club. Every single time that there's been an opportunity to push forward or to take that step, that level up, we've never been able to do it. We sit, we stay stagnant, and then we go backwards and we allow other teams to catch up and then overtake us. We've got... firstly, you've identified a manager that is a Tottenham manager, which is okay, great. But if you look at the decisions of the board this year, it springs to mind that old saying, bro. A broken clock is right twice a day. Do you know what I mean? And thank goodness that broken clock landed on De Zerbi's name and they got it over the line. But you've got to learn the lessons from from the entire management structure and the entire process under ENIC. You have to, and you've got to. Them upstairs have got to take responsibility for their actions and their inactions. When there was opportunities to move or to act, they didn't do it. They stayed stagnant. They gave us buzzwords and buzz lines and tried to, say, it's not that risky, or we've got players coming back, or look at January where Langer said, across the league, there was only 33. I don't care about the other teams, my friend. I care about Tottenham Hotspur, and we were in decimation. So we should have been one of those teams that actually went out and made the purchases that we needed to make, rather than a Gallagher and a Sousa at that time. Look at Sousa. I mean, maybe one for the future, but did we need to bring him in January? Did we? We all knew what we needed, and it's about those things there. Langer and Vinay have to take 100% responsibility for their actions that they made this year. That's including hiring Frank. That's including Tudor. That's including both transfer windows. When it comes down to the identification of the right quality of players that we need at Tottenham, you need to go for your number one target. I mean, the whole Akliush in January, it was 50 mil in January. But if we got it to the summer, then it'd be 30 mil. Well, we was in desperation time. And now that it's got to the 30 mil thing, that's going to bring in 5 other teams. I mean, look at Villa now. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows? So don't miss your opportunities when it comes down to certain players and certain profiles. But you're right there, Craig, or one of the boys that said it. De Zerbi will be ruthless, and he knows which ones need to be out of the door, regardless of whether they're first teamers or squad players. He knows who needs to be out of the door, and I think he absolutely knows who he wants to bring in when it comes down to the profiler player. Yep. Don't do what we always do. Don't do what we always do, which is and it's kind of, I mean, we'll see what happens in the next couple of days, but it's kind of happening already with the Senesi and the Robertson. Both of those were linked in January, right? And then, De Zerbi comes along and supposedly he's all right with it if it does happen. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of come see, come saw with that. Okay, cool. Go for 2 free transfers, but as long as that boosts the coffers of the attackers and certain areas in that team where we need high profile, high spending, proper players in those positions, and go get them. So they've got a whirl of lessons to learn, Craig. But the biggest one is to be accountable for what they did and what they didn't do. To be accountable as CEOs for failing, because this year, when it comes down to what they've achieved, they have been an utter failure. They failed across the board, upside down, left and right, 360, 180, whichever which way, they were failing until that broken clock hit De Zerbi's name, and then suddenly, thank goodness, we've survived. And that's what today has been, survive. So if you want to do more than that, if you really want to push on, if you really want to achieve, then you know what you have to do. You can't repeat the lessons. Take the accountability for the action or the inaction and go do the right thing. Learn from your mistakes, but you have to be willing to admit the mistakes in the first place. They've got a lot to do, Craig.
Absolutely. A lot of people agreeing with you, Rick, in the chat. I don't know if you can see that. A lot of people, a lot of love for you in the chat, Rick. Melvin, somebody actually, I'll just cover this off. Somebody said, "Oh, Chris is having a drink." Unfortunately, I don't think he could today because bizarrely, he normally drives to the stadium, and he was backwards and forwards to his car because he was being phoned up by different news agencies. He's been at the stadium since late this morning because a lot of the media thought that Tottenham were probably going down, and so he's been doing a lot this morning, and it just feels great, Melvin, doesn't it, that probably 91 of the other clubs in the football pyramid wanted us to go down and we survived. That does feel good, doesn't it? I'm not saying we celebrate it, but it just feels good to shut everyone up, doesn't it? You there, Melvin?
Yeah, I mean, you realize going through this how much we are actually hated by other Premier League teams, because everyone wanted us to go down. Everyone tuned in. I was getting messages and comments from even rival teams and other teams from other leagues. Fans from Serie A were asking me about Spurs. What's going on? Why is this? Why is that? But at the end of the day, like I said before, the only reason we stayed up is because of De Zerbi. I think the guy has so much energy and so much love for the game, and probably the time he had on the little time he had on the training pitch. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he would do with the preseason, to be honest. And I think appointing him early, getting to see, Paulinho, Bentancur, have a look at these guys, Romero, Van de Ven. Apparently Van de Ven now wants to stay. It's a real, like Ricky said, it's a real platform for us to move forward. But we've been in this position before. We've heard these things come out of the club before. Now they're saying we're going to be paying more than 200K, whatever, wages. We need to up our wage structure. But we've heard all of this before. It's like with Spurs, I'll believe it when I see it, that kind of mentality, because I've been hurt before. So regarding the relegation, we've never should have been here. And things kind of escalated and snowballed from it being a joke last season. And I think a lot of us made a deal with the devil. If we won the Europa League, we would take a relegation battle. I think when I was in Bilbao, I think the last 10 minutes of the game, I was thinking, please, anything for this trophy. And I think I maybe gave up too much. But anyway, I just think this season should be a wake-up call for the club, because it's been too many mistakes, too many wrong turns, and it's led us into this direction. I think the front line, if you look at the top scorers this season, is an absolute joke. Richarlison with 11, and the next one is João Paulinho, followed by Van der Ven and Romero, who are two defenders. We had no goals, nothing from no one. We had no help at the top. It's like we've let go of Son, which I thought maybe it was at the right time after winning a trophy, but we've never replaced him. We never replaced Kane. We just don't replace, players well enough. It took us so long to replace Eriksen, so long to replace Hugo Lloris, to replace Vertonghen and Toby. And we need solid replacements. We need people who score. We need numbers on the board. Like Ricky said, we need Premier League experience. The ownership needs to wake up and buy ready-made players and pay the money. For me, when we signed, I thought this might be it was last minute, a panic buy. I thought it was a really, really panic buy. But under De Zerbi, he's showing that he's a really good player. And De Zerbi's been smart. He's used players in the right position. He used experience, strength, physicality. He used good work ethic, passion, players that are... I thought Porro was excellent today. Bentancur, for the 70 minutes he played today, he was excellent. I thought there was a lot of players today that they were magnificent, that we haven't seen anything like this in ages. I think Kinski, his name needs to be put up there, because I think in the last 5-6 games, he saved us. And people were saying, we need a new goalkeeper. I don't think the goalkeeper position should be looked at. I think we stay as we are with Vicario and Kinski. Let them battle it out. I think Vicario played injured for most of the season. I mean, Kinski deserves a lot of praise for how you go from the absolute bottom of the barrel and you get embarrassed like that to put out that world-class performance. And I give it either to his mentality or what happened behind the scenes with the coach. I think the coach, how he speaks to the players, how he addresses them, how much fire is in his eyes when he speaks. He's calm, but there's something, inside him that fucking loves football. And it's like, when I hear him speak, De Zerbi, even on the touchline, you see it. You're like, I think Ange used to give me that. Conte used to give me that. Jose. It's like fucking Thomas Frank. Honest to God, if I see that man in the street, I don't think there's been anyone that has made as much damage to our club, I think, since the 90s. Since the 90s. He's put us back so far, and I hate him. I hate his mentality. I hate how he approached the game. I hate how he spoke about the players. And this is all his fault. Honestly, it's all his fault, because you look at the same group of players, how they played under De Zerbi, because De Zerbi has a different mentality, a different ethic to the game, how he goes, honestly, it's night and day, and the difference is the coach. So we need to give praise to the coach, to the players. This is how I feel, and I feel happy and relaxed for the summer. We're gonna have a good summer, guys. This is gonna be a great summer. We're all gonna go to the beach. It's gonna be sunny. The transfers are gonna come in, and we're all gonna be relaxed. I am totally relaxed now. If we had Thomas Frank still here, or we had no manager, this would have been a terrible summer. Or
it could have gone so badly wrong today, Melvin, couldn't it? You're right.
It went right. From a bad situation, we've made something positive, Mr. Positive.
We have. Yeah.
So I'm happy with how it turned out, and I'm happy we have this manager. There's a lot of positivity and things to go right.
Definitely, and thank you, Alkan, for your comment here. Super chat, relief. Absolutely relief. Robertson and Senesi coming in, Vuskovic back, and Roberto De Zerbi has to convince him to stay. Paulinho stay, sell Romero, Dragusin and Richie. Muani can go. Couldn't agree more. Bring in 2 top strikers and powerful winger. Huge summer. Tim, I think that Hawkins really summed up what the window needs to be, and a few more, I would suggest. I mean, personally, if anybody's actually seen that Cienza play for Southampton, I think there's a really good player in there. I think we should be looking at people that say, oh, it's not a glamour signing. But when you actually watch the guy play, he's such a Spurs player. But that's just my opinion. What else? Hawkins listed a load there. What would you like to see in the summer? Players going out and any players you'd like to see come in?
Oh, man. Well, there's a few things there, really. First of all, slightly back to the board. There was a shot in the match where they had all the Spurs legends up there, all of like Diaz and Villa and Ledley and that. And then the next shot was the board. And it was like, my God, the difference between the two. Your heart's in there and your money's over there. The grey suits just looked like they were scratching their balls, just going, whatever, you know. So that's got to change. That attitude's got to change from the board. And they need to be more like, we need Spursy people in here. Spursy people that run through the heart of the club, not just a corporate bunch of people who want to, you know, make a couple of quid. So that kind of culture needs to change first. I think De Zerbi will help with that because I think he's going to, he needs to be ruthless. He needs to go, even though I think, Tell's pretty good. No, he's not good enough. Tell's got to go. You know, Cowlin Moani, you know, I put on my notes, oh my God, they're bringing on Cowlin Moani. You know, I'd rather put on Vicario up front than Cowlin Moani. It was, you know, but there we go. At least he tried his best. You know, Dragusin, Romero's been a disgrace of a captain, I think, and he needs to go. Get really good money for him off your pop, son. And then, he might even look at people like Sousa and that who are like, I don't know. I think he'll spend a few weeks / months going through his squad saying, don't want. But we just desperately need attackers, whether that means people coming back from injury. I mean, I don't know what's happening with Kulu. That's been an absolute shitstorm, isn't it? So, which brings us on to the medical stuff again, which has been a nightmare for years now. And I don't know any other club like it. So back again to organisation. In Roberto, we trust. I think that he's going to insist on these things being done. But short of me sitting at the beginning of the match with my lucky shirt and my lucky dogs, Chaz and Dave, that's about the only. That's my dogs' names. That's like that. Thank you. Got the Spurs till I die. That I thought, it's all us sitting there with our lucky stuff on and, drinking and going, oh my God, please, please, please. And it felt like it was willed over the line by everyone going on. We shouldn't even be close to that. Willed over the line should be winning a final, not being relegated, whether we're going to be relegated or not.
Definitely.
I mean, to be fair, I was nervous, but not like literally, bring out the tenor man. I'm going to wet myself in a minute. I was nervous. I put on my little notes on whenever it was. West Ham score at 1-0 on 63 minutes. And I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. But I still didn't feel like it was going to happen. I think if they'd have scored, we could have been in serious trouble because we just sat right back. We were bossing the game and then we started sitting back on it. But back to where we were with the players. We did not have the players to bring on to take that forward, bring a quick player on to take it to keep the ball. What he basically decided was to stick like 3 defenders at the back and bulk up the midfield with midfield players because that's all he had. And apart from a glorious Olympic style dive by Sarr, that was embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. I will say most of them, did their part. They all did their part. And what I'm hoping De Zerbi does, and I don't want to kind of literally pick on players, that he literally goes through it with a fine-tooth comb. Isn't it interesting? We probably would have picked some of our best players would have been Graham Berthwell. Didn't play him. Play him at all, really, which assumes that he wanted experience and not kids in there.
I think that's what it was, Tim, 100%. That's what they said on the telly as well, didn't they? That he basically tried. I think he tried Bergvall and Gray for the Sunderland game. Yeah. And then quite quickly reverted to Bentancur and Paulinho. And
what's that say about our transfers? Because our transfers are all young kids. Oh, they're gonna bring on, and I'm sure these kids are going to come through and be. I'm still not sure about Tell, but I'm pretty sure Gray and Bergvall are going to be really good players. But they're kids. We could have completely wrecked their careers by the way we've been treating them. And for us to kind of rely on them is an absolute joke. During the summer, during the winter transfer window, we should have brought in experienced players. I don't care how much it cost, because in the end, they didn't spend the money, and then they had to spend however much just getting De Zerbi. I mean, literally bribe him through the door. Thank God they did, because it would have cost them 250 million quid otherwise.
I think that's the only thing you can say that they did well this summer, the board. And that is the only thing. I'm just going to jump to you, Ricky, quickly, because Tim made a really good point there about De Zerbi, and Melvin sung De Zerbi's praises. Do you think, this is how I see it, that De Zerbi's come in, he's seen the situation, it's a bad situation, so he hasn't tried to change too much. He's just made the players believe. But we know from De Zerbi, he can be ruthless, as Melvin said. I think he's dead right. Over the summer, probably going to have a week or so off just to chill and then get back to work. So I would expect, and I don't know what your views are on this, that De Zerbi will be going through this with a fine-tooth comb, saying, I want this player, I don't want that player. There's going to be ruthlessness. And now we're going to see the real De Zerbi type football next season. And let me just throw this out there, and I'm not saying we're going to win the Premier League, but Leicester escapes relegation. Of course I can. Leicester escaped relegation. I think they finished 17th, and next season they won the league. So they've showed it's possible, but I'm not saying Tottenham are going to do that. But De Zerbi has instilled in just a few short weeks in these players the belief. And you always talk about belief, Rick, and just having that mental fortitude to believe that you can get yourself out of the crap, and he's done it.
Yeah, you know what? I think that, you said he's going to have a week off. I think he's one of those guys that has a day off. I think he'll have tomorrow off, and I think by Tuesday he'll start going through the whole squad with a fine-tooth comb and figuring out what plans are ahead. And that ruthless streak will come out. I think that you're also right that he didn't change too much. He couldn't, in the sense of that he couldn't be as ruthless, because he needed every single body in that was available, fit and available for this run-in. That's why he sat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Colo, to try and get something out of him. But you look at that, and that's the character of a manager as well. To go in there and look, Melvin spoke about how he lifted average players. It's not even that. He woke them all up. You got to remember that we've got a squad of Postecoglou players, right? Tottenham players that like to play on the front foot, that like to play football first and foremost. We can't play Stoke style football. We can't play Brentford style football. We can't play for a throw in and a free kick. Yes, those things should be worked on and should be a weapon in our armory, but that's not how we can play football. It doesn't work for Tottenham. But this guy really does work for Tottenham. What the way that he approaches the game, his ideas, and I think that he will absolutely shake the whole system up. Because look at what he done. He reminded those players of who they were. Thomas Fraud took the life out of all of those players. Broke every single one of those players. You look at them the whole season, and they were dying inside playing that style of football. Thomas Fraud done more to destroy this club than any other manager ever before. He is worse than Christian Gross. That ain't me being funny. It's true. He's worse than Christian Gross. So he should have got his travel card and he's sent packing a long time ago. Craig, you said it a long time ago as well, bro. Yeah. We knew it from after the first Schooner game and then the Chelsea game. By the Chelsea game, it was done for me. Do you know what I mean? There's no way that you can approach those two games the way that we did and expect anything less than what we've ended up with. But De Zerbi is there, and he woke him up. He instilled belief. He is motivated. It's all of the little things as well. You look at the Brighton game, right? So it was 2-2 at the end of 90 minutes, and one of the reporters asked him in the presser, like, how much is that going to affect the squad? Because, it feels like a loss. And I think it was a lady. He shut the lady down. And he was like, no. He's like, firstly, they have to turn up to work on Monday with a smile in their face because they played the right way. They don't have to worry about anything else. Just follow me is what he said. And from then I was like, you see that? That's exactly the type of person. It's exactly the type of manager. It's exactly the type of philosophy that works for that particular group of players. Postecoglou stroke Tottenham bunch of players. And it inspired a lot of them. He done so many little things where he was just like, he knew when to big somebody up, and he knew when to, he wasn't going to call certain people out either. He has kept everybody sweet right now because he has needed every single body in there to give as much as they can give. You look at what has happened. He's only been here 5-6 weeks. You look at what's happened with the injuries. He comes in 2 days later. Kudus is out. He was supposed to be back, right? Kudus is out. The next week it was Romero. The week after that it was Xavi and Solanke. This is So it's not like he's had it easy, but he's worked with everything that he's had, and to get us over the line, playing the way that we have. It has been night and day, like Melvin has said. Compared to Tudor and Thomas Fraud, it has been absolutely night and day. And he hasn't even begun yet. This is all he could do right now. Is motivate, increase the level, increase the belief, and increase because Romero and De Zerbi came out of it. They wanted to be the protagonist of their own story. They wanted to be the director of their own story. They wanted to be the main character of their own story. But that meant a lot had to change, and it shifted, and it did. And they started to believe. And that's where you bring in experience as well. Look how he tapped into those boys of experience. Amazing to see the contrasting level. In a couple of weeks, the contrasting level. So like you've all said already, now that we've got over the line, I think this is where he gets ruthless. This is where he goes, get rid of all of that medical team. This is where he speaks to the board and go, listen, don't mess about when it comes down to the summer. If you're going to do it, do it. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not here to mess about. And this is where he takes his pre-season and he starts scolding players for not doing the bleep tests or for, or for not passing forward. I've seen some of these training sessions where I can't remember it right now, but there's an Instagram group and they break it down into training sessions. Like they'll put like a little green box above it with the players and they'll show you what they're doing. And one of the last ones that they done was a passing and attacking training video. This was not happening under Thomas. I don't know what the fraud was doing in training. Haven't got a damn clue. Haven't got a clue what he was doing in training because Jorgensen was doing the set pieces. So what was the fraud doing? But you know what? That was
eating chicken sandwiches with Johan Lang and Vinay Venkatesan.
Absolutely, right? So I think you're absolutely right, bro, that with a preseason, with a ruthless streak in him, because right now Tottenham have paid him a lot of money to be here. There's a lot more stuff to come in. There's a lot of changes to do. He can stay focused on the future now because he's achieved what he set out to achieve. He had to keep it on an even keel until we achieve this. Now that that's happened, he knows who's working and who's not working when it comes down to a boardroom level. Do you know what I mean? He already knows who's waffling and who tells him the truth. He already knows what players are there to give everything for the calls and those that are there to just pick up their checks. He already knows. And there's going to be massive change ahead for the benefit and for the greatness of this Tottenham Hotspur team, bro. So I think it's glory days ahead. Yeah, man, let's go.
Let's hope so, Rick. We'll definitely have to meet up over the summer for a drink, drink, definitely.
Yep.
Let me just share this with you, if you can see my screen, everybody. Harry Kane's tweeted, "Congratulations to everybody at the club, especially the fans. Massive fight and result on the final day." Thanks, Harry. Thanks. great achievement for you at Bayern this season as well. But it just goes to show he didn't need to tweet that. But Kane obviously still loves Spurs. How I'd love to have him back at the club.
Do you think he's getting bored? Do you think he's getting bored at Bayern yet?
He might be hinting. He sounds like he's hinting, right?
I might be reading into this. I think that's a come get me message.
Come get me.
God, could you imagine? We haven't replaced a fella every year, but how can you replace somebody like Harry Kane? It's just almost impossible. Well, it is. I'd say it's impossible. Oh dear. Right, I suppose. Look, we're here to talk about the match, so let's talk about the match incidents. To be fair, there wasn't much really going on in the first half. I actually thought Spurs controlled it. I know, Tim, you said you were a bit nervous. I was actually quite relaxed in that first half, to be honest with you, because Everton weren't really at the races and we controlled the game. 6 minutes, Conor Gallagher hit the side netting from not a tight angle as such, but he just couldn't quite swivel and get it on target. 10 minutes, Danzo shot wide up the corner. 14 minutes, Paulinia fired over from a free kick. 33 minutes, Everton had a couple of attacks and getting into the game a little bit more. 35 minutes, Danso's header hits Richarlison and into the arms of Pickford. Melvin, how are you feeling in that first half? Because we'd had a few chances, and as I said on the commentary, some of them fell to players that you wouldn't really want them to fall to, like your Danzos or whatever. How was you feeling? Was you relaxed? Did you think Spurs were going to get that goal, or were you still quite nervous about the whole game?
No, we managed the game quite well. I mean, we had quite good control of the game. I don't remember Kinski making any saves or having any shots, conceded in the first half. I thought we went up and down the pitch quite well, won the ball quite high up the pitch as well. Like I said, you have to credit the manager, because we couldn't do this a few months ago. A couple of months ago, we weren't this team. We weren't even this team when we played against Sunderland.
Hey!
There he is.
17th, and I don't know how.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Hello.
Chris.
I just wanted to pop on just to say a big thank you to Mr. Roberto De Zerbi, because I tell you what, without Roberto De Zerbi, we would never be in the Premier League. And the 7 games under De Zerbi have been completely different to what they were under Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor. And the fact that he has got this group playing, the fact that he has got this group picking up points, because quite honestly, when I record every week with the likes of Ricky and Craig, we honestly all thought, where on earth is our next point coming from? But Roberto De Zerbi, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely delighted that he is our manager. He will take us forward. He will take this club back to where we belong in the big time, and hopefully we will be chasing European football next season if the board get their act together and the board give him exactly what he needs. So that's all I wanted to say. A big thank you to all of you for coming on week after week, and everyone listening and everyone watching. But yeah, I'm so relieved that we have got over the line. We remain in the Premier League, and I'm so glad that it was us that actually got the job done, rather than having to rely on another team. And that's exactly what Roberto De Zerbi wanted as well. And I'm absolutely delighted that we are a Premier League team. A big shout out to João Palhinha as well. He's come up with some really important goals, and I do hope that Spurs get this deal done and he is a permanent signing. But yeah, absolute relief. And I'll leave you guys to talk about the rest.
Wait, Chris, before you go, bro, tell us about the day, bro. Tell us about the parade. How are you feeling? Because listen, we know you've been up by the stadium doing a whole heap of news outlets and whatnot. How have you felt the tone has been on those interviews? Like, how have you felt? Give us a rundown of what it was like in the stadium as well, bro. Just from a feeling point of view, because we've said it many a time, you go home and away, bro, and there's no way that we should be in this position. So how have you been feeling all day during the game? Just give us a rundown of your feelings, man.
Haven't had much sleep, if I'm honest, Ricky. Haven't had much sleep at all, and feeling very worried. Waking up literally every hour, thinking about this game, and very worried, very anxious. Felt sick this morning, and met some people in the pub this morning as well, and this afternoon. Everyone was feeling it, and everyone was feeling very anxious about today's game and today's situation. But I must say that the crowd were absolutely sensational, absolutely superb today from minute one all the way through. And these fans have been fantastic all season. When you think that we've been through a very, very tough campaign, when you think of some of these games that we have witnessed, when you think, the football under Thomas Frank, the football under Igor Tudor, simply not good enough. And like I said earlier, we didn't know where our next point was coming from. So the fans were superb. Roberto De Zerbi has been superb. And I just hope now that the board really do back this manager and take us back to where we should be. But yeah, a very nervy day, Ricky, but I feel absolutely relieved, feel so pleased, and we go again next season.
Yeah, man, the future's bright, bruv. The future's bright.
Chris, just before you go, obviously we spoken this morning, and we spoke. We were both quite anxious, as you said there, concerned, worried, as we have all been the last 3 months. Tell us about the atmosphere in the stadium when that final whistle blew. The palpable relief that came across on the telly was quite something, but I'd imagine it was unbelievable in the stadium.
Yeah, I've got goosebumps when you say that as well, Craig, because Roberto De Zerbi was celebrating with all of his staff. You had Christian Romero celebrating, you had Kulusevski celebrating. They then did a walk round, but the final whistle, there was just such a huge relief. And also there were fans in the South Stand singing or chanting about ENIC. And, rightly so, because so many poor decisions have been made. So it was just a real sense of relief, Craig. And I think we all feel the same. Because I don't ever mean to be arrogant about this, but Tottenham Hotspur Football Club should not be in this position fighting relegation. We should be sitting here talking about European qualification. We should be talking about a Champions League spot for this football club. We should not be talking about that we have won a game, to avoid relegation. So I hope that we are never, ever here again. And I hope that we never have to go through a season like this again. But in answer to your question, Craig, huge relief.
Yeah, and do you have any confidence that the board will take that as a massive wake-up call? They have to, don't they, Chris?
They have to. When I looked up at Vinay Venkatesham was clapping away as though we'd won something, and Johan Langer was just on the phone. So I hope that both of those guys and all of the owners, board members, etc., they buck their ideas up and as I said, take this football club to back to where we belong, because I don't ever in my life want to feel like I have this season, and I don't ever want to feel the feelings that I've had today, thinking that relegation was a real possibility. And I don't, if I ever go to Lincoln away, etc., I hope that it's in the League Cup or FA Cup and not in league competition. So yeah.
Anyway,
I'm going to leave you guys to it. Thanks so much, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Thanks, Chris. See you later.
See you.
Do you know what? I mean, there was I don't know how many weeks ago it was, 3 or 4 weeks. Me and Chris just had a tour around the training ground, and we were just chatting, walking around, and then I just turned and looked at the place. And I was thinking, can you imagine a training ground like this, a team with a training ground like this and we were actually in the bottom 3 at the time, and things didn't look particularly good. Can you imagine us in the Championship? But obviously you get what you deserve in football over the course of a season. Yes, you could get lucky in a cup run or whatever, but over the course of a season, you generally get what you deserve, don't you? And thankfully, we got out of it. 43 minutes. Who was the last one to talk? I've lost all control of this show. It was Melvin. So Melvin was the last one. So Tim, you get the goal to talk about. So João Paulinho, 43 minutes, the goal that actually won us the game in the end. João Paulinho scores for Spurs from a tail corner, and the stadium goes absolutely mental.
What a great goal. And to be honest, we bossed that first half. And good corner at the far post. João hits the post, I think, and then literally pokes it in with his left foot, and it literally, in total Spursy way, creeps over the line. I think Danso then followed up. Trust us to have a couple of defenders trying to score goals. So that just literally creeps over the line, doesn't it? But Danso makes sure by kicking someone in the air, which is a great job. I will say, up to that point, because I know we didn't talk about the lineup, but taking Cowlin out of the lineup and putting Spence in really, really seemed to work well. Pedro was on fire. I thought Spence played well. Someone was giving him a bit of jip in the chat, but I thought Spence, those two played really well. I mean, Pedro's always up for a game anyway, but they made that side really solid, but also very attacking in the overlapping. So I think I actually wrote stuff down. We had 14 shots in the first half, which is the most we have scored, most attempts in any match this season, home or away. So that's all we need to know, bearing in mind we've got like 2 attackers on the field and not our first choice ones. So, but it's interesting. Then we score from a corner yet again. I think we're either the best or the joint best in the league at scoring from corners, which is saying a lot. We haven't been together over the last few weeks, I don't think, but that kind of was on brand for João, and João had a great game. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was getting kicked all over the place. As far as I remember, there was a tackle which looked quite nasty on him. There was a couple of bumps, couple of head bumps. He was really in the war, the whole game really. But the first half, he was definitely bossing that midfield, and I couldn't think of a better man to score that goal. Really,
look at who's in. Apologies for listeners on audio. Look who's in right in the middle of that is Romero, and obviously he's coming for a lot of stick over the last few days about his antics, and I don't personally think Romero is going to be at the club next season, and Romero's probably. What's gone on there? Could probably do a whole podcast alone on Romero. And apologies, thanks for reminding me, Tim. I didn't even go through the starting lineup. So because
I'm just so matches, wasn't it? But over Cowlin, Muani, and Jed Spence. Yeah,
I think that was Rick. What do you make of that? Actually, while we're talking about it, because we better talk about it. Cowlin Muani, we all said he's got to be dropped surely after that Chelsea performance, and he did. Do you think that was the right decision? I mean, it probably proved it was to bring Spence in on the right.
Bro, 100%. I was calling for it. I was hoping for it, and I was calling for it. The thing is that, Colo, firstly, he hasn't deserved it, if I'm honest. He hasn't deserved a starting, to be in the starting lineup. He's been trusted by the boss, and he's tried to give him everything to kind of get him motivated for playing for Tottenham, and we did see that he showed care, and we saw a difference in him under De Zerbi, most definitely. But the quality still ain't there. And also going into this game, I just wanted Tottenham, bro. I needed those that are gonna be at Tottenham today, tomorrow, and next week playing for Tottenham. The thing is with Colo, and understandably, he's probably thinking, I'm going back to PSG, or Juventus want me, I'll go over there. He's thinking about his next destination. It doesn't, like, today doesn't mean as much for him as it does for a Jed, or for a Bergvall, or for somebody else in that position. I'm just happy that he did put Jed in there. We've seen that he can do that. Some of us have looked at Jed kind of doing a bit of a bail, and I'm not talking ability wise, I'm just talking positional wise, that goes from a fullback to a winger. And I thought the overlaps and the understanding between him and Porro today was fantastic. And it worked. Look, with a broken jaw, Spence was on that field. That should tell you a lot. Yes, he could have probably sat out today, but he didn't want to. And I think getting into the England squad as well is probably kind of, giving him a lift and increased his level, and he wants to be out there proving it and showing it. And I think today he did. I thought I was happy that Colo wasn't starting today. And a bit like Tim earlier, when he was coming on, I was like, oh no, just leave it. But then we did have Richie on, which does run out of steam. But then again, the team runs out of steam on 65 minutes. And when you look at that whole the lineup itself, like, I was really happy with Spence, but that first half going into that second half, we put in so much effort. The second balls, the third balls that we was clamping, the energy, the spirit, the will, the fight, the grit, the determination was all there from every single one of them. Every single tackle and every single block meant something today, and you could see it from that starting 11. So big up to yourselves, man. Big up to yourselves from 1 to 11 on that field. Wow. We needed it. We absolutely needed that type of energy and that type of effort, more so than the talent or the ability. I think that crowd and the way that we approached the game made it. I mean, we can talk about it now in hindsight, but made it feel like the goal was inevitable. It was always going to come for us. It was only a matter of time. And what a time to score it, and what a time to go into halftime buzzing. I did have one little worry. I felt that we celebrated a little bit. Yeah. Well, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Oh, goodness. But I did have one little worry after we scored, was the celebration was massive, right? The celebration was massive. Paulinho was in tears. De Zerbi was up. Like you saw there, Romero and the bench was up, and everybody. Maddison was in there as well. And celebrating like that, there's always a come down, right? Yes, there's the high of a goal, and then you get back to level when you go again. But when you celebrate like that, like it's the end of the match, you can have a negative reaction, as in almost like an energy dump. Your mind's fine, but your body just goes woof, and you can't be as quick as you was, sort of thing. And that's the only thing that I was worried about. But the boys just done so well, Craig. I think they done so well. And I think that when it got to like 60, 65, I think that because of all of the effort and the celebration of the goal and all of the nervousness and the energy, I think that that's where the energy did start to drop a little bit. But then what a good manager does is manage the game. And that's what he done for the rest of the second half. But I'll let you get on to the second half stats, bro.
Well, actually, here's a stat for you. That's the most shots Spurs have had in a Premier League game in the first half this season.
Wait, Craig, are you telling me we went from 0.00 XG in the first half to the most? Is that what you're telling me?
That game, we had the most shots that Spurs have had in a Premier League game in the first half this season. And of course, at this stage as well, half time, it was still 0-0 at the London Stadium. So all was going swimmingly for Spurs at this point. Melvin, just before we come on to the second half incidents, has it surprised you that Bergvall hasn't had as much game time as perhaps we might have thought he would have got?
No, I thought quite quickly he realized he needed players with experience and physicality and people that are going to run. And those three combinations, along with Bentancur, I thought a big reason why we survived was Bentancur coming back. Just studied it all. And I think even Archie Gray, who won 3 awards yesterday, he wanted experience on the pitch, players that they've been through many games, many big games. I don't think Bergvall and Archie Gray, as much as their ceiling is, I think, quite high, and I'm excited to see what happens with them, next season and the season after. I don't think they're quite ready to be relied on, that much. And I think it was quite smart from De Zerbi. I think with his lineups, he didn't really have much choice. Even up front, he didn't have any options, hardly any options. Partly because of the injuries, and partly because it's just you have to play these players that he didn't have any options. He has to play. I think the only option was really Bissouma, the only option, and he decided to go with Paulinho, who had an okay season, but under De Zerbi, he's been excellent. And even though he's popped up with critical goals, and I think pretty much saved us. Apart from Richarlison, I think there are a couple of heroes you can mention. You could say this season, and you can easily say if it wasn't for them and their moments of brilliance, we would not have survived. I think you can easily say, Kinski, Richarlison for the goals that he scored, because no one else did. He needs to be credited for that. I think Romero and Van de Ven scored 4 or 5 goals each from centre-back positions. Bentancur, I think when he went off at the 80th minute, which was the longest that he's played so far for us since his injury, I think that's when we kind of lost a little bit of the grip of the game. I think Bentancur offers so much in midfield. I think that's a massive reason why we stayed up. Bentancur coming back, we've looked like a different team. He makes players around him better. His calmness on the ball. Playing Conor Gallagher pressing up top, I think that rather than on the wing, which was madness by Igor Tudor, I think that made a massive difference. Who else can I credit? Xavi's goal against was it Leeds?
Brighton. Was it Leeds? You might be right. I can't. Do you know what, Melvin? That you sitting there talking about stuff. I'm thinking this feels like the longest season I can remember. And you're talking about Thomas Frank, and Ricky was talking about Thomas Fraud and whatever his bloody name was. It seems that Super Cup game in August last year, it feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? And it's just been the season from hell.
I'm still not over that game. I'm still pissed off about that game, to be honest with you. I'm pissed off we didn't win that cup. And I think the day that I gave up on Thomas Frank was the United game at home when we were winning and we conceded in the last second. And then he was saying in the interview, oh, there's positives because we held them to this many shots and this many that. And I was like, no. He's not the guy. I gave up on Thomas Frank then. His mentality is wrong. I just keep praising De Zerbi. De Zerbi improved players. Thomas Frank improved no one, and he should have. And he was a coach. A coach, they said he was. I think De Zerbi improved players by about 20 to 30%. Some of them, I think they played. I think, for example, Conor Gallagher, we saw the best. We saw the Chelsea Conor Gallagher. We saw the best Paulinho. Van de Ven is happy again. Van de Ven was depressed, sad. He takes every defeat personally. Kinski, brilliant. Porro, who not that I'm not a fan of Porro, but Porro is a player that really frustrates me because the way he plays with the ball, wastes it every single time. I thought today he was excellent, very strong, very loved Porro today. Absolutely, I can't. He didn't make any mistakes. He didn't waste the ball. I think Porro excellent. I think sadly Richarlison's legs are done. I mean, Richarlison has nothing left in the tank, mentally, physically. Sadly, I think this is the last time we will ever see Richarlison in a Spurs shirt. I don't think he can't run. The only thing he can do, every single through ball we had today or attack, if you look at the attack, Richarlison was behind everyone. He couldn't get to the end of anything. He usually just waits waits there to receive a ball. Sometimes that never comes. But today, I just think his legs are done. I think he's had a good career. I don't know how old he is, Richarlison. I think he will be
30. Is he 30, Richarlison?
Unless we're going to bring in, two first team strikers, and it's going to be clear to him that he's going to be on the bench and he will pop in every now and then and he'll play the odd 30 minutes or come in as a super sub. But other than that, Richarlison, and I've always supported Richarlison on this podcast. You know this, Craig. I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. I love how he treats the fans, how he speaks to the fans, how he always respected the badge, how he played through all of his problems. He has, injuries, and he's the nicest, one of the nicest guys in our club, or I'm not going to say the Premier League, but in our club. So to say that about Richarlison, Koulibaly, I think I would have rather kept Timo Werner than have Koulibaly.
I agree with that.
Social media today or yesterday, Koulibaly. I mean, one of the worst maybe not one of the worst, but really dreadful loan signing for the name and for the clubs that he's played at. I mean, you just can't do it at the Premier League. You just can't. He's not able to. Also, something positive that we can mention for the summer is that there's lots of players that we can sell and make 20 million on, for example, 10 million on, maybe 30 million on. I mean, Dragusin's agent's going to get him somehow to Real Madrid. There's a couple of loan players that are really exciting to come back. I mean, player of the season, I'm surprised we didn't give it to Luka Vuskovic, because he's been absolutely insane, that player. Vuskovic is one of the most mental signings I've ever seen. He's only, I think, 18, 19, if I'm not mistaken, and he can shoot, he scores, he's a beast. I think Romero can go. I think Danso. By the way, Kevin Danso, I keep forgetting to mention.
It was immense today.
If I think Romero, let's say Romero didn't get injured, I don't think we would have been that solid, that any more solid at the back, because Danso's taller, stronger, great in the air. I think Romero is good in a cup final. I think against United, Romero was incredible. Managed the game right on the edge. He made Harry Maguire go a bit crazy. But in a whole season, Romero just does mistakes, loses the attacker every now and then, gets red cards. I think if there's 30, 40, 50 million to make, Romero's one of them. I think Danso's already a made player. There's Vuskovic coming. I mean, there's easily 100 million you can recoup from these signings, and you can invest. Yeah. You can invest that back into the playing squad. And we don't need massive numbers either, because we don't have Champions League football next season. So we need quality. And we're here with just 4 guys. It's just simple as that. 3 players, or let's say 4 players of good, decent quality. And we will, next season we'll be fine. With De Zerbi, I think De Zerbi pre-season will be exciting. We'll see what he can do with the youth, Bergvall, with the lone players. I think if we're a big club with ambition, some of the players will send back on loan. For example, even I'm not against Bergvall going on loan. You can't keep Bergvall and Archie Gray. You can't keep both of them. Someone has to go. If we're playing, there
will be a clear out, Melvin. It has to happen. You're right. It has to, because
I don't want them sold. I'd rather keep them and send them on loan. That's what big clubs do. I would send one of them. I think Archie Gray slightly more mature, better. I think De Zerbi will train him, will make him better. You look at the videos and what Sandro said about De Zerbi. De Zerbi will correct you if you're 15 centimeters off to the left. If you're not in the right position. De Zerbi is one of those coaches that in the training session, he's there with the whistle, he's engaging, he makes you positive, he makes you better. Even if you're 34, 35, he will make you better. He will get that 5% out of you. And I think we had these young players, even Mikey Moore coming back. He'll make Mikey Moore better if we keep him. But there's lots of ifs, and there's lots of things that we can do at the club. And I'm like with all of you, like I said, I just fear that Johan, Vinay, these people take the wrong decisions. That's the only thing that scares me. Is there's people at the top of the club that make the final decision, that sign on the dotted line. They scare me that they will make the wrong decision. They've done it time and time and time again, and they don't look at what we really need. They don't look where we should invest all the money. They fuck around with where's that Japanese player we signed, for example. Don't waste money like that. I don't want that kind of summer anymore, where we spend 4 or 5 million here, 3 million there, 10 million here, and like 5 different players. Invest in quality, Premier League proven, and give De Zerbi, a proper squad.
Quite simply, it has to change. It has to change because they can't and they won't want this to happen again. The second half, then Spence, 48 minutes. Spence shot dribbles through Pickford's hands, nearly actually goes in and goes out for a corner. Actually thought that was going to go in. 60 minutes, promising run by Tell, but comes to nothing. Ran a bit down an alleyway there, dead end. And then on 62 minutes in our game time, West Ham scored. Tati Castellanos, it's 67 minutes into the West Ham game. And at that time, Everton were pushing more in the second half and definitely further up the field. Tim, how did you feel at that point when that first West Ham goal went in?
Yeah, I was getting nervous at that point because the first half, I'd put down that we were snappy in the tackles, we were fast, we were closing down, we were completely solid at the black. And I don't think they had a shot on target. I'm pretty sure they didn't. I know we only had one on target, but the number of shots they'd taken were minimal, I think. And then it started to creep back in, and then West Ham went in front, and you thought, oh, come on, no. That's how I was starting to feel. It wasn't totally that way because I don't think much was happening in and around the goal area too much. I got a couple of headers at some point, and that was it. Otherwise, I was just getting nervy. I did notice in there, clearly he's telling him to shoot because I noticed Porro and Spence is like saying, well, just have a bang, you know. And Spence makes the point now. I think it was Spence, wasn't it? His shot, and it nearly goes under him because he's taken a bit of a punt. And also, how many goals have we seen this season where they've deflected and gone in? That's exactly the sort of thing could have happened there. So I was kind of getting nervous. I was wondering whether, you know, God forbid. Actually, two things. One was, are we ever going to get a penalty this season? The answer is no.
No, we didn't. In the end, did we? We didn't.
Nope,
absolutely.
Not one.
Yeah.
Not one. I mean, the rest of, I think the next one up is Liverpool with 2 or something, but not one. So that's something he's going to have to sort out, De Zerbi. He's actually had to win a penalty properly and chase people down. So yeah, that was one thing. And the second thing I noted was, the one thing I'm really worried about here is Michael Oliver, the referee. I'm not worried about the other team. I'm worried that he's going to make a bad decision, send someone off, give them something, you know, the normal stuff that happens to us. So actually, that's what I was worried about most, was the referee making a poor decision. Then West Ham can do whatever they want. If West Ham had won that and we had lost our game, then we absolutely deserve to go down. Absolutely deserve to go down. And De Zerbi was right in saying, I don't give a stuff what they do. We're going to win this game. And it was right. I think it would have felt even worse if we'd have drawn that game because it was a total squeaky bum time and they were getting further and further into it. The fact that we couldn't get that second and didn't really look like we were going to get that second was becoming more and more problematic. Because if they'd have scored, well, I know we'll get onto the Kinski save, but if they'd have scored maybe with 5 or 10 minutes to go, I think we've not shown our mettle at closing those games off well. So I was getting really concerned about what was going on. I was going to have one tiny thing to what Melvin said was, yes, we need all these good players, etc., but just like the idea that we don't get penalties, neither do we seem able to bring youth team players through properly. That most of the other in fact, all of the other big clubs this season in particular, you've seen 1 or 2 really, really good teenagers. We get told we've got a really good academy. Aren't they wonderful? Don't they win things? And do we ever see them on the pitch? No, we don't. We either loan them out or we ruin them. So that's another thing De Zerbi's going to have to, and I think he will. He'll try and bring some of those kids in because there's some really, really promising kids there. Because what was showing as the half went on is because we didn't have enough quick attacking players, and the more we took off, we couldn't either shut the game down or have any relief from quick players being able to take it down the pitch and take it away from our penalty area. All we had was a boot up the field and trying to get someone to hold on to it. So it was making me more and more stressed. But at no point did I think we were going to lose that game for some reason, which is unusual for me. Normally, I'd have been in tears at that point, but I never thought we were going to lose that game. It was going to be something out of our control, a refereeing decision, or Mickey getting sent off, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that about the refereeing. And again, you could do a whole podcast on the standard refereeing and decisions in the Premier League this season, not only for Tottenham but for a lot of teams as well.
Yeah.
With their moans about that. But I'm just glad that this whole thing today was not settled by VAR.
Yeah.
It was settled by screening our game and taking care of business, and there was no controversy essentially. 74 minutes, sorry, beg your pardon, 71 minutes, Sarr and Muani replaced Tell and Richarlison. 74 minutes in our game, West Ham scored a second, Bowen 88, I think it was by that stage. Because West Ham kicked off long before us because they had technology problems at the beginning of the second half for Tottenham for the referee's assistant. So West Ham taking care of business, eventually winning out 3-0 winners. And as you say, we knew what we had to do, just take care of our own business. 80 minutes, Sarr was given a yellow card for the dive you spoke about. Tim, what did you think, Ricky? Did you think that was the penalty when you first saw it at full speed? Because I did.
Yeah. I mean, when it was happening, I thought, here we go. And then, but as soon as I saw the replay, I didn't even need the close-up. I was like, it was probably a dive, that one. So, yeah, it wasn't going to happen. But let me tell you a quick story, right? So, I've got a friend that's getting married, and he's getting married in Turkey, okay? And so, lastminute.com, ticket was bought on Friday. This is me, bought on Friday. I flew out yesterday, and I'm here, right? So, I had to find a bar to go and watch this game. So, I found it. No problem, found it. But as I walk in, right, check this out. Check out the proximities, all right? As I walk in, first screen, West Ham lead. So I'm like, here we go. I walk in, there's another screen inside, Tottenham Everton. Then they had Man United there. Then they had Liverpool over there. But Tottenham and West Ham fans were both watching their game, almost sat together. I could literally look from this TV over to the West Ham TV, or do you know what I mean? So it was one of those where the mix of anxiousness, nervousness, and then that whole referee with the mic pack, that's another thing, because that's the third time it's happened to us at home as well in the second half. What are these referees doing at halftime that they can't go figure it out? And also, when we want to be conspiracy theory, if you want to be that way, and yes, my brain does go there sometimes. You know, when you're G'd up to come out for the second half and then you delay us by 5 minutes where it brings us all down, it could be a disruption. So anyway, that's happened. We're getting to 90 minutes and you know, West Ham have won 3-0. And then there's all the extra time that's added on, plus the extra time on top of the extra time. I was kind of like, nah, they've set this up. They've set this up. I can feel it. They've set something up here. They want some last minute drama because every other team was finished and everyone could watch and hate on Spurs. And there was a couple of fans in there, bro. Luckily, I was with one other, right? But like, there was a couple of other fans in there that were hate watching. They were either, I don't even think they were West Ham. I think they were Gooners or just another random team that was cheering on Everton. Go on! Every time they kept getting them crosses in, like you was talking about, like around the time, 60, 70, 80 minutes, and they kept getting crosses in Everton. He was like, go on, relegate them. And at that point, yeah, forget the nervousness, I started to boil from the inside out. And I'm like, yo, everyone needs to stay calm in this damn place. And can somebody blow the damn whistle? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how I experienced today as well. It was mental. So yes, technology issues. We always have a drama with Tottenham Hotspur. But Craig, you know what? You wanted something positive from me during the week, either this week or last week. Bro, we done it, my friend. We done it. We got over the line. We can breathe now. There ain't nothing to celebrate. In that sense, it's all relief, and it's all the only thing that you can celebrate really is the slap in the face to the whole league that have shown their hands that they hate Tottenham. Not only the league, because we knew that, but a lot of the media outlets out there with their pundits that couldn't wait for Tottenham to drop. You know, that I think the mayor of London come out and said it would be beneficial for Tottenham to be dropped so that West Ham can stay in, and because West Ham Stadium is a taxpayer stadium. Like, do me a favor. The amount of energy, hateful energy we have had from all four corners. For us to get over the line today, my goodness, we can breathe and we can sleep soundly tonight. Like Melvin said, there's going to be a lot of change in this summer, man. And my goodness, we've done it.
We can watch Match of the Day as well. I don't know if you'll get it out where you are, Rick, but you know that I haven't been able to watch that most of the season. No, that's right. Well, look, 80 minutes. We're edging towards the final whistle. 80 minutes. Sarr, as I say, was given the yellow card for that dive. I was getting excited at the time, but it wasn't to be. He was shown the yellow card for, and let's be honest, it was a pretty poor dive, as we said. 81 minutes. Maddison and Gray came on for Gallagher and Bentancur. Both Gallagher and Bentancur, I think we've covered both them. Absolutely superb on the day. 86 minutes, really starting to get tense now. I've written down here, Everton were pressing. Spurs keep clearing the ball and defending stoutly. 90 minutes, Udogie went off and Dragushin come on just to give us a bit more defensive solidity. And Dragushin actually did a couple of good clearances, to be fair to him, coming into that game. Couldn't have been easy. You know, if he'd made a mistake.
Yeah, but he was up for it, Craig. He was up for it. He wanted to come on and make an impact. He didn't look like he came on to make an impact, and I'm happy that he had that energy.
He did, yeah, and his agent will be very pleased. He did, I'm sure. He don't shut up either, does he? Well, Melvin, 90 minutes. Obviously, we got the news. There's going to be 9 minutes added time, and then because of the stoppages, it was going to be near 11 minutes in the end. Kane heads over for Everton. 99 minutes though. The time it should have been finished originally, Kinski pulls out an outstanding save from George. How were you feeling, and what did you make of that save?
He's done it before as well. It's like it's not the only save to keep us, you know, with the clean sheet, with the 3 points. He's done it against Wolves.
Wolves, yeah. Last minute.
Yeah, he's had. Who did he do the save really down low? Leeds.
Yes, Leeds. Yeah.
He's a good goalkeeper. It's just as simple as that. Kinski's a good goalkeeper. When he was brought in, I remember under Ange, and he played his debut against Liverpool at home, and we won that game when Vicario was injured. I mean, he's a good goalkeeper. I'm happy with Kinski. The problem is you have to think a little bit. Is he good enough to start next season, or because a few months ago all of us were thinking, oh, we need a new number one. Vicario needs to go. Kinski's not good enough after what happened in the Champions League. But these couple of games, I think a lot of us are now either convinced or starting to be convinced that he's a good goalkeeper. We should keep him either number one or a very, very good player to have off the bench. But for me, on the bench. But for me, the problem was he didn't play all season. And then he was thrown in the deep end by Igor Tudor. And he was put in cold. He was put away. He was played away in the Champions League. He should have played him in the Premier League if he was going to play him. I think Kinski really suits the way we play under De Zerbi, because we play a lot with the ball, and I think Vicario could struggle. I like Vicario. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but I wouldn't be against, for example, selling Vicario and giving Kinski the number one. But I think that's for Roberto De Zerbi to decide. But I'm happy. I'm happy he got a chance to play, because if he didn't play Kinski, I think he would have been sold in the summer, and that's probably now will be viewed as a mistake, because I'm happy to keep Kinski now. I think the issue with Kinski that he wasn't played enough. He wasn't rotated by Frank. I think Frank should have played him more in the cups to give him more of a feel for football. He was thrown in cold, and I looked. He hadn't played for like months,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Months. I think close to a year. And as a keeper, Craig, I think you mentioned your son as a keeper, right? Like you can't throw him in a big game, and the guy doesn't even have feel for the game, a feel for the team. I know you train with these guys every week, every day, but to be thrown in the deep end like that and to have these performances, Kinski, I think he'll be buzzing going home tonight. He will be very happy. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he even gave a sense of calmness in the defense, where Vicario would give you, a heart attack every time he was passed the ball. I think with Kinski, every time he received the ball, even though he had those howlers in Madrid, I think he was calm on the ball. His first touch was excellent. His passing was excellent. His range was really good. He could find someone from far. He was passing it perfectly, even like exactly to the feet, to the correct side, so the player can move, and then the next pass. It was perfect for me. Brilliant player. I would 100% keep him. Like I said, even we were calm because of him. I think Vicario, if we had Vicario, we would have. I remember the Fulham game with Vicario, how he gave the ball away and then he got caught out. It's like night and
They've
day.
got a decision to make, haven't they, Melvin? I think it's fair to stay with Kinski, and depending, of course, if Vicario goes back to Italy, to Inter Milan or whatever, but we'll see what happens in the summer. Well, finally, the final whistle came on 101 minutes. We got over the line. We did it. And Spurs are a Premier League team for the 2026-27 season. How good does it say or feel to say that? Final questions for you all. Melvin, I'll just stay with you. We've discussed, I was going to discuss Enoch and Langer and Vinay and Levy and everything like that and what needs to happen. I think we've covered that off at the start, because I think we all admit, and I think we all know, that it just needs to change. Surely now that it all needs to change. So final question for you, Melvin, start with you. Player of the season, who was your player of the season, and what was dare I ask, what was your highlight of the season?
Player of the season. It's tricky because there's players who've been crap for the majority of the season. There are players who've been okay, average. I don't know. It's a really difficult one. I would say because this player played most of the season and he's played, I don't know, because of today's performance, I might give it to Pedro Porro. Because no one really stands out. You could say Richarlison, you could say many of these players, because Bentancur was injured. He made a massive difference. Kinski made a massive difference. Yeah, Danso made a massive difference now. Paulinho came up with important goals. Romero let us down many times. You can't give it to him. But if he didn't have the red cards, the injuries, I would have gave it to Romero, but no. Van de Ven let us down a few times. No. Archie Gray is too young. I would give it to Pedro Porro. Moment of the season for me would have to be, I don't know, Xavi's goal against Brighton. I think I think that was the moment where it started. I really enjoyed that goal, and I would give it to that moment.
Okay, thanks, Melvin, and thanks for coming back, joining us on this last game of the season, one where we were all happy. At least it's nice to finish on a high, isn't it? So where can people find you, Melvin, if they want to follow you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram right now, because my ex got hacked, sadly, so you won't find me on there anymore, even though my account's still there. But you could find me on Instagram, or you could follow Malta Spurs Official, which is an account that I'm helping run. But yeah, you'll just see me posting photos of somewhere in Malta, a bit of sun. Yeah,
lovely. It did look nice. The picture you sent earlier, I must admit, it looked really stunning. Thanks, Melvin, for coming back on. Tim, give us your moment of the season and player of the season.
I'm not sure I can give you a player of the season. I really think that's going to be tricky. If I was pushed, only because he's gone above and beyond, shouldn't have been a starting player, and I think has been totally solid, was Kevin Danso. And totally underrated, I think. Is solid as a rock. I don't think anyone else has particularly shone at all this season. That's a horrible thing to say. I'd love to say Archie Gray again with Melvin too young. I'd like to say Javi, but not really. So apart from that, I'd probably, if push go for Danso, but really it's a draw and I don't like it. Best moment of the season? On 100 minutes today was the best moment of the season when he blew the final whistle and I knew this season was over, which sounds horrific because this is the worst season I've ever seen. And I do remember the 1977 season when we went down, and this is worse than that. I know we didn't get relegated, but the potential consequences of what could happen and the different environment meant that was
totally
horrific.
different.
Yeah. I'm not being funny, but I really can't remember a highlight from this season apart from that whistle going, that's done. Next, because that was pretty horrific. And I never ever want to experience anything like that again. The amount of grief we've had, both personally as a team, and that's fine. We'll move on to next year. Just a quick shout out to my namesake on one of the things. Tim Vine says, "Give Roberto the keys to the castle." I agree. I don't trust anyone else. I trust him because I think he's a great footballing man. I think he loves football. He loves those players and he wants to succeed. Give him what he wants. I don't trust Langer. I don't trust Venganeshin. Done. Just give him what he wants. And I think we'll do pretty well next year. Not going to say more than that.
I agree, Tim. Well, thanks for coming back on. Good to be on with you, talking about a win and survival. Where can people find you on social media?
Tim J. Spurrier on Instagram and my Soul Side. I do my music show every Sunday. Normally, I've done a pre-record today on the Face Radio and Totally Wide Radio. But thanks for inviting me on again. And when we meet again next year, in better circumstances, my friends.
Let's hope so. We can't go through this again. Well, my moment of the season was a sacking of Thomas Frank. And I have to say that was, I nearly cheered as much as when that final whistle blew today. Player of the season for me, I would probably call it a draw between Paolini. I think I'm going to go with Paolini. Danzo, absolute rock. But Paolini, the importance of his goals this season for the player he is, defensive midfielder, I think he's come up with some very, very important goals. Ricky, finally with you, what's your moment of the season and player of the season?
My player of the season is João Paulino. I think over these three managers, two who, we all know about, and then under De Zerbi, I think that he has shown up in big moments. I think he scored the goals. I think he's a specialist that we've needed in a sixth position for a very long time. He's an upgrade on Højbjerg as well that we haven't been able to get. So I think for his passion, I think for his will, his grit, his love for the club, the love for the shirt, and the fact that he's a lone player in comparison to Colo, I'm going to give it to João. And that's before today's winner. I had Paulinho in my head but you're all right, gents, that it hasn't been an outstanding season. It hasn't been an outstanding player. But for turning up in big moments, whether it be defense or with important goals, I'm going to give it to Paulinho. And my moment of the season was... it's a two-pronged attack, really. It's going away to Germany and watching the Champions League with Chris, where we went to go and watch Hoffenheim. Top bins, bruv. That's my highlight of the season. Getting top bins, you chucking the Whitney Houston on it, bro. It going mad, bro. It's been one of the things I still smile about it today. People will they'll send it back to me, and I'll be like, it just makes me smile, bro. So yeah, top bins for me was definitely a massive highlight. But the biggest highlight of all is that we can come back. All of us beautiful gentlemen on this panel and all you beautiful people around the world, we can come back next year knowing that we've got our Premier League status, we have survived, and we can move forward. We can move forward with the opposition worrying about us and us not worrying about the opposition. We can move forward in trust of a manager that knows how to play Tottenham football, that knows how to go and attack, that knows how to be the protagonist of his own story, that knows how to back his chap, that doesn't know what fraud is. When he gets the phone calls from the dodgy Amazon, he's like, no, thank you, and puts the phone down. Do you know what I mean? That guy doesn't get scammed. So we go and with a lot of positives, with some of the youth that are coming back off of loan, Mikey Moore, Lancashire, do you know what I mean? Vuskovic, to bolster and renew and refresh your squad, as well as some top signings up front and in the attacking areas. I think, you know, we can smile and we can rest easy this summer doing whatever you want to do, World Cup or a holiday or whatever the case may be, but we can rest well knowing that the change is coming. The change has come and it's time to change. And we've got Roberto De Zerbi at the wheel. So let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Love every time.
Thanks, Ricky. And where can people find you on social media?
These guys know where they can find me. You can find me on X at Ricky J Norwood. You can find me on Insta at official Ricky Norwood without the J on Insta, but you got the blue tick on Insta, so you'll be able to find me. And then you can find a bit more of me on T-Talk and Tottenham. Me and Darren Hart, we do our show, our bi-weekly show where we look back at what has happened, and this has been a pivotal one. So yeah, episode 15 is out now. We will be recording the next one maybe next week. So yeah, check that out. All one word, T-Talk and Tottenham in YouTube. But you guys know where to find me. I'll be right here next season cheering on the old Tottenham and bigging them up with much more positivity than I had this season, because I have been a miserable sod alongside my brother Craig over here. We have been the two old men puppets. Remember the old Muppet show? We have been them twos in the bloody box. It's just got worse and worse and worse. But you know what? We finish with a smile and we can breathe now, man. So positive times, positive vibes.
Positive
ahead,
times. Waldorf and Statler, I think they were called, weren't they? Waldorf and Statler. So yeah, and I'm sure this is true. Thanks for this. Romero's Belgrano losing to River Plate in their playoff or whatever it is. But look, we don't care about that. All we care about is Tottenham. All we care about is Tottenham. It's done. Thank you, everyone, so much for your support and following over the course of this season. It's been a season to forget. But as Ricky says, we've been here through it. We'll be here next year for it as well. Thanks to all the guests that have come on throughout the season. It's been a hell of a roller coaster ride. Personally, I'm glad it's done. I am so glad it's done. But we can all relax. We can all go and enjoy the World Cup, hopefully. Come on, England, and you know, wherever you're watching around the world, I hope your countries do well too. But for Spurs, that's a wrap. That's a wrap for the Spurs Chat podcast for the season. We're staying in the Premier League. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.